Hi, welcome to the Passover e-course from HELP, the Health Empowerment Lifestyle Program. I'm Lilia Ronan, and today's lesson is all about healthy baking. Especially over the holidays and Passover in particular, a lot of people do a lot of baking because they feel that lack of nourishing food, of a little snack food. People feel like they're limited to potato chips, and they want to have things where people can go in the kitchen and feel comfortable to, feel chagigi, or it's celebratory, and taking a cookie, brownie, etc. And it's a lot easier to make them out of matzah meal or potato starch versus trying to make matzah rolls, which again have just as much oil and sugar as cookies and brownies. So how are you going to master holiday baking in terms of moderating your eating of it, but also making that each thing you prepare is going to be something positive instead of something negative? So let's talk about the basics. Matzah meal. Matzah meal is like white flour. So again, the same way you would use white flour, you would use matzah meal, and that means try to avoid it when possible. There is whole wheat matzah meal available now, and it's great to use for any recipe that includes chocolate, where you can't see the color because the color is a bit darker and it's a little bit heavier, and it's an amazing match for chocolate cake. In the meantime, though, I really try to focus on things that don't include matzah meal, or limit the things I make with matzah meal. I only make my apple cake from the Passover ebook with not whole wheat matzah meal. And actually, over the past few years, I have gone to half and half not matzah meal and half whole wheat matzah meal for all of my baking. That manages to give me like a good color that's not off-putting and people really like it, and still makes it light enough to enjoy the recipe. So I make basically two different kinds of cookies. I make chocolate chip cookies, and I make zebra cookies, and then I make apple cake once over the holiday, and that's it. I make a big batch of each of these, and we have those again to take with us on Tulim, to have for desserts. And other than that, I make meringue. I make everything else is gluten-free without any matzah meal. So again, you can try the almond macaroons that are here below, which are just egg whites and almonds and a little bit of sugar or honey. And also pavlova, which is again whipped egg whites and coconut cream or real whipped cream, which is also in the Passover ebook. These kind of recipes are going to make you feel like, oh, it's celebratory, it's dessert, but are also going to help you to moderate your portion size. And the reason that they're going to help you do that is because you're not making dietetic. Okay, there's no way to really bake for Passover in a dietetic way. And that means with less sugar and less oil. You can use less sugar and oil to your taste, but most of the recipes demand a certain amount, and it's good kind of to know that going in so that you focus on having yogurt, smoothies, fresh food for your snacks, and know that part of this holiday is going to be celebrating the spring season and the bounty of food and produce that's available instead of focusing on the desserts. When it comes to that healthy baking, what I do for myself is I limit it to once a day. I can pick one treat a day. I can have it at any time that works best for me. And then it gives me the option to, at the end of the day, decide whether I even want it that day, or pick and really enjoy any treat that I make that I want or that I have somewhere else. One of my other favorite healthier recipes in terms of desserts for Chag that I'm going to put down here below is simple chocolate bark. You melt the dark chocolate in a double boiler, and then you just sprinkle toasted almonds or sprinkles or dried fruit on top. And again, it's really making the serving size of chocolate much larger and keeping it really whole food, healthy, and nutritious, which is the key, again, for really being able to completely enjoy your dessert. When you know that it's not bad for you and you know that it's not hurting you, you can just really enjoy the sweet taste and the fun of eating dessert. So what are the best things that you can do to moderate how you and your whole family eat dessert? The first thing is to pick a few things that you make and make them only once. And then however long they last, they last. And then after that, it's fruit, dried fruit, nuts, and again, chocolate bark or meringues, easy things that are much lighter and more nutrient dense versus the things that are made with the matzah meal. So again, if these things are the traditional things you make in your family, feel free to make them. Just make sure you really moderate those portions and make them only once. So when they're gone, and you have these healthier upgraded recipes to do instead. If you don't have things that are traditional in your family that your family will throw a fit if they miss, then you should definitely switch right over to the healthier options. Every year I make less and less things with matzah meal. There are just a few things that, again, are really traditional in our family: the apple cake and the chocolate chip cookies and the zebra cookies. And I make them once, one at the beginning, one in the middle, one at the end, and that's it. Otherwise, we have fresh fruit and nuts. And again, if I need something else in between, I'll make the macaroons or the chocolate bark. But again, it's also based on how many guests you have. You know, I do that much baking when I have 30 people over the whole holiday, when I'm hosting my entire family. When it's just us, one batch of cookies could last us the entire Passover. So again, as exciting as it is to see all these wonderful Passover desserts, think about very carefully how many people are coming, how much is there going to be left over, and try to make sure if you're preparing a dessert for a Suda, for a fancy meal where you're having guests, make enough for everyone to have some. You don't need to make enough for leftovers. Again, because you don't need to be having dessert at every single meal, and neither do your kids or your family. Things to snack on in between meals can be yogurts, fresh fruit and vegetables. Last year in particular, I went through cases of apples. I decided, instead of people just going to get cookies all the time, I had the cookies, but the cookies were put away in the cabinet, and I put out a huge bowl of fruit. And we just had, the kids just ate nonstop apples. It was incredible. I had 30 people, and people just ate apples all the time. Every time you turned around, someone was eating an apple. Because, again, over Passover, we're sitting around, we're playing board games, we're in the house more, we're going on Tiyulim, and people just want to be able to grab something. And if your cookies are out on the counter, that's what they're going to grab. We're human. We see a cookie, we want to eat it. So again, if those are put away somewhere or made for specific meals in limited quantities, and again, you could put out fresh fruit, cut of vegetables, you're going to be amazed at the quantity of fresh fruit and vegetables people will eat. And while that may be frustrating if you're the one preparing it, if you leave out things like apples, like I did, then it cuts down on the work for us hosts too. So one of the most important things when it comes to dessert, to sum it up, is to limit yourself to one a day, then to pick the healthiest, most nutritious desserts that you can, and to keep those family favorites, make everybody happy, but try to limit them to the portion that everybody will actually finish at one meal. Thank you so much for joining me today. Your freedom to tip for this video is freedom from fear of dessert, and freedom to really enjoy it in moderation, because you know that tomorrow you can pick something else, and every single day you can have it, and you can enjoy it, and you can love it because you love yourself. You love yourself enough to enjoy it without hurting yourself. And that is key, to always have it be not from a place of restriction, but from a place of self-love. Have a wonderful Passover, and I'll see you in the next lesson.